Welcome. For so many people, Dubai is, well, it's the absolute pinnacle of modern luxury, right? This gleaming city all about wealth, speed, even safety, ironically. It's a powerful brand.
It really is. But, as our sources make tragically clear, there's often a horrifying reality hidden just beneath that polished surface. An incident back in March 2025. It didn't just crack the facade, it blew it wide open.
Yeah, it forced a lot of people to look at this system where apparently enough money can buy you complete, terrifying impunity.
Exactly.
So today, that's our mission. We're going to do a really detailed chronological deep dive into the case of Maria Kovalchuk. She was a young Ukrainian model.
And her story, her survival against impossible odds, it essentially became the key to unlocking and exposing this truly notorious global black industry. These so-called Porta Potty parties.
It's a disturbing name for a disturbing reality.
We're not just recounting a crime here. We're trying to trace the exact mechanics of how these women are trapped, how they're lured in with these incredible promises.
Promises of unimaginable wealth.
Right. And then subjected to this degradation that's almost impossible to fathom. And maybe the most critical part, how the system itself, the legal system, the financial leverage, seems engineered to protect the abusers and silence anyone who tries to speak out.
The basic facts alone are just staggering. You have a 20-year-old woman found practically dead, spine shattered.
Utterly brutalized.
And then almost immediately, the official story comes out.
Oh.
She did it to herself. Fell from a building site.
The contrast is jarring. It perfectly captures this scandal beneath all the golden glitter.
To really get a grip on how ruthless this network operates, we need to go back to the very beginning, to the moment Maria's plans first went off track.
Absolutely. That's the starting point. Let's lay out the timeline. Maria Kovalchuk arrives in Dubai March 9th, 2025. She's 20, working as an OnlyFans model.
Seems like a pretty standard trip initially. A short stay, maybe 6 days, creating content, then heading off to Thailand.
That was the plan, 6 days. But then, March 11th, just 2 days in, the critical error happens.
She missed her flight.
She missed her flight to Bangkok, overslept. Simple as that.
And that tiny mistake, that unexpected gap in her schedule, that's the vulnerability they pounce on, isn't it? She's suddenly stuck. Probably frustrated, anxious, maybe even a bit desperate to sort things out.
Precisely. These brokers, they're experts at spotting that kind of temporary vulnerability, that misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
So Maria, probably feeling pretty low about missing her flight, ends up in a local bar.
And that's where the trap is sprung.
That's where he finds her, the agent of deception. A man approaches her, says he's a model agent, claims he's only 19.
19. That feels deliberate, doesn't it? Young, maybe less intimidating, but hinting at powerful connections.
Oh, completely tailored. And the pitch, it's classic high-end bait, immediate work offered. A solution to her travel problem, luxury accommodation guaranteed.
Specifically mentioned the 5 Jumeirah Village Hotel, right? Very exclusive place.
That's the one. But the real hook, the thing designed to show off this almost unbelievable level of wealth and power, was how he talked about getting her to Thailand.
The private jet.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the masterstroke. He didn't just say, oh, I'll help you rebook a flight. No. He boasts that his father is so incredibly wealthy, he can just arrange a private jet. Fly her straight there. Forget the missed commercial flight hassle.
For someone who just missed an economy flight, that promise, it represents a completely different world. Instant solution, ultimate luxury. Almost irresistible, you'd imagine.
It paints a picture of limitless power. It shifts the whole interaction from just networking to this incredible opportunity delivered effortlessly by immense wealth. So, Maria accepted. She gathered her things and went with him to his hotel room. For a party, supposedly.
And that's the moment she disappears.
That's when the communication just stops. Dead silence. For 10 days. She misses more flights, obviously. Her family back home, trying desperately to reach her. Nothing.
10 days of silence. They must have been frantic.
Absolutely. They knew something was terribly wrong. They got on a plane themselves, flew to Dubai to start searching for her.
And the search ended with that horrific discovery on March 19th. 10 full days after she'd walked into the 5 Jumeirah Village Hotel.
The scene where she was found. The sources describe it in really disturbing detail. It was early morning the 19th. A driver just happens to be passing a construction site.
And sees her.
Sees her lying by the road, wearing nothing but a hotel bathrobe.
The medical reports? They leave no doubt about the kind of violence involved. It wasn't an accident.
Not even close. Covered in blood, severe beating marks everywhere. Head injuries so bad they described her scalp as almost torn off. Multiple broken limbs, arms and legs, probably defensive wounds mixed with just Pure savage trauma.
And the spine injury. You mentioned pulverized.
Pulverized fracture, that means shattered.
Hmm.
Crushed into pieces. It speaks to an incredible level of force. She was completely unconscious when found, barely able to move her lips when her mother finally got to her, tried talking to her.
It's incredible she survived.
The medical staff performed 4 emergency life-saving surgeries. They literally called her survival a miracle. The injuries were clearly meant to kill her.
Okay, so hold that picture in your mind. This extreme targeted violence, the pulverized spine, the beating. No, compare that to the official explanation that came out just 2 days later.
It's almost whiplash, isn't it? While Maria is fighting for her life, unconscious, the Dubai police issue a statement, March 21st.
And their conclusion.
Self-inflicted injuries.
What?
They claim she wandered into this restricted high-rise construction site, the place she was found, all by herself, and accidentally fell from a height. That's their story.
Self-inflicted after those injuries. That's outrageous. The family must have been furious.
Her mother, Anna, immediately went public, called it a complete fabrication, a lie designed to protect whoever did this, and crucially to protect Dubai's reputation.
And there was other evidence emerging that just blew that accidental fall theory out of the water, right?
Completely. There was a witness, a woman named Ksenia. She reported hearing loud screams from near the hotel, and she saw 2 men carrying something large, wrapped in a carpet, away from the area, around the time Maria vanished.
Suggesting she was moved from the hotel covertly.
Strongly suggesting it. And then there's that one piece of physical evidence that just absolutely demolishes the false story.
The teeth.
Her broken teeth, found later, inside her handbag.
Right. Teeth don't just fall out and land neatly in your purse after an accidental tumble from a building. That points directly to a violent assault, a beating.
It's the signature of targeted violence, not an accident. Plus, when they found her, no ID, no phone, no money. That's control. That's not someone having an accident.
So despite Dubai police pushing the accident narrative,
The Ukrainian National Police weren't buying it. They saw the signs: coercion, trafficking. By March 29th, they'd opened a formal human trafficking investigation back in Ukraine, in the Lviv region.
which really sets the stage for what came next, when Maria could finally tell her own story. Summer of 2025.
Right. By July, she'd recovered enough physically to actually speak, to give her account of those 10 days. But the cost, it's immense and permanent.
Wheelchair bound.
Permanently wheelchair-bound. A very visible scar on her forehead. And maybe the most heartbreaking part, severe memory loss. She struggles to recognize her own family sometimes. The psychological damage is just as profound as the physical.
But she could finally talk about what happened, starting from inside that hotel room at the 5 Jumeirah village.
Yes. She described being brought into the room, introduced to these wealthy men, identified them as being from Ukraine and Russia. Businessmen.
And the atmosphere changed quickly.
Immediately. They noticed she wasn't drinking alcohol, started mocking her for it. One apparently said quite explicitly, "You belong to us now, we'll do whatever we want." She tried to nervously laugh it off.
Big mistake.
Huge mistake. The mood turned instantly violent. They started smashing bottles,
Yeah.
glass cups, deliberately breaking them on the floor.
Making the room dangerous to even move in.
Exactly, like creating a trap, impossible to walk, impossible to escape safely. Then came the demands, sexual demands.
And when she refused.
That's when the physical abuse started. Sustained beatings,
Yeah.
retaliation for her defiance. This wasn't just about sex. It was about breaking her will. Torture.
Punishing her for saying no.
Precisely. And they took everything. Her passport, her phone, her money, cut off all communication, all possibility of escape or getting help. Total control. She said they treated her like a pet, finding entertainment in her suffering.
Did she try to get away?
She did. The first time, she actually managed to run out of the hotel, found a chance and bolted, but they were organized. They caught her, dragged her back inside,
And the torture continued.
and escalated. Then on the 9th day, that would be March 19th, the day she was found, she made a second desperate escape attempt.
Fleeing to the construction site.
Yes, she ran from the room, found this nearby unfinished building site, tried to hide there. In the dark, among the concrete and steel,
But they found her again?
they found her there. And this is where her account directly confronts the police narrative. She says at that construction site, they assaulted her again, violently. And then they threw her off a high ledge.
So the police story of a fall wasn't entirely wrong. She was thrown. But they conveniently left out the preceding 9 days of torture and the attackers who threw her.
Exactly. They stripped out the context, the crime, the perpetrators, just left the fall itself, framing it as an accident.
Which leads us to the really disturbing part about how the system seemed to close ranks to protect these men. Justice should have been swift, right? Given her testimony, the injuries.
You think so?
Yeah.
But instead, we see what looks like a textbook example of impunity kicking in. The men she named. The wealthy businessmen.
Briefly detained.
Briefly,
What?
for one day. Then released. The reason given. Lack of evidence.
Lack of evidence. After everything she described, how?
Well, Maria herself pointed to something very specific, something technical, about how that evidence might have disappeared. She accused the police of deliberately waiting.
Waiting for what?
Waiting until the 3 months had passed since the incident before seriously investigating or securing key evidence.
3 months. Why is that time frame significant?
It's often a standard data retention period, especially in high-end places like luxury hotels. Their security systems, the CCTV cameras. Many operate on an automated 90-day loop. After 90 days, the old footage is automatically erased to make space for new recordings.
So if the police wait.
If they deliberately wait past that 90-day mark, the crucial video evidence, the footage showing her entering the hotel, showing who was with her, potentially showing her being held captive, it just vanishes, automatically wiped.
That turns bureaucratic delay into something much more sinister. Calculated destruction of evidence.
It's an incredibly cynical way to use standard security protocols against the victim, isn't it?
Yep.
Ensuring impunity by simply running down the clock. But the pressure on Maria didn't stop there. It became financial.
The hospital bills, they must have been astronomical.
Multi-millions. Entirely believable given 4 complex, life-saving surgeries, months in intensive care. The level of care she needed was immense.
And who paid for that?
According to Maria's mother, Anna, the local authorities covered the entire bill.
Which sounds generous, but...
But Anna stated very clearly, this wasn't charity. It allegedly came with strings attached. The payment was conditional. Maria had to agree not to speak negatively about the authorities, not to damage Dubai's reputation.
So it was hush money, essentially. Financial leverage.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Imagine the pressure on that family, facing potentially crippling debt for their daughter's survival. The authorities offer a lifeline, but the price is silence. It effectively turns the victim into a tool for protecting the city's image.
Her survival, her willingness to speak despite all that, it really cast a spotlight on this dark underworld that people had only whispered about before, this Porta Potty phenomenon.
Right. The name itself is intentionally shocking, designed to convey the utter degradation involved. It's not just a party. It's a euphemism used in these circles for events where women are systematically humiliated. Used, as the term implies, like a toilet, subjected to acts designed purely to destroy their sense of self.
And the recruitment. It's disturbingly specific, isn't it? They're not just looking for anyone.
No, quite the opposite. Sources are clear. The targets are specifically chosen because they are not typical sex workers. They go after high-profile models, influencers with large followings, sometimes even highly educated women.
Why? What's the twisted logic there?
The suggestion is that these wealthy abusers see conventional sex workers as beneath them somehow. The thrill for them comes from degrading someone society might see as aspirational or influential. It's about power, proving that no one is beyond their control, regardless of status.
So the bait has to match that high-status target. The recruitment sounds almost professionalized.
Highly. They use brokers, pimps, functioning like twisted talent scouts. They approach these women with offers that sound too good to be true, because they often are.
We're talking huge sums of money.
Unbelievable amounts. $50,000, sometimes even $100,000 for a single night. Plus, all expenses covered: first-class travel, private yachts, luxury villas, shopping sprees, expensive gifts.
And the payment structure sounds calculated, too.
Very. Often prepaid, maybe half up front, like $25,000.
Yeah.
The rest contingent on, well, on surviving the night and complying. And the price goes up based on the woman's public profile, her fame, her follower count.
The more influential she is, the more they pay.
Exactly. The brokers charge their clients more for higher-profile victims, so they can offer a bigger incentive to the woman herself. It creates this incredibly convincing illusion of a legitimate, extremely lucrative opportunity.
But the reality, once they're isolated at these parties, it's a descent into something truly nightmarish. It's not about pleasure, it's about destruction.
Survivor accounts paint a horrific picture. We're talking extreme physical violence, using tools, whips, sources even mention metal hooks, physical mutilation.
Designed to humiliate and scar.
Absolutely. Forcibly shaving hair, knocking out teeth, just like what happened to Maria, being forced into dog collars. It's about stripping away their identity.
And then the specific acts that give the parties their vile name.
The forced scatological acts, it's hard to even talk about. Allegedly forcing women to eat human feces. Some reports specifically mention camel feces. drinking urine.
It's almost medieval in its cruelty.
And some testimonies even mention forced bestiality. The entire point seems to be the complete annihilation of dignity and humanity, leaving permanent psychological wounds.
There was that account from the influencer who escaped. She described the jarring contrast, didn't she?
Perfectly. Daytime was Rolls Royces, luxury shopping, pure fantasy. Then nighttime, torture, humiliation, absolute terror, resulting in severe, long-lasting trauma. Years of recovery needed.
And this disgusting market has even developed its own coded language in public.
Yeah, that TikTok flight attendant story was chilling. On a flight to Dubai, a passenger quietly asks her if she's looking for high-fiber food.
Which is code.
A known code word within these circles, a discreet way to signal interest or availability for these parties. It shows how normalized, how integrated this has become in certain spheres.
In Maria's case wasn't a one-off. There were others.
Far from it. Sources mention an Australian model. Similar story, lured by a jewelry tycoon, promises of yachts, luxury. One night resulted in injuries needing surgery, permanent mental scars. Same pattern.
And the Russian model, Angelina Doroshenkova.
She confirmed getting an almost identical offer. High pay, luxury travel. In March 2025, the exact same month Maria was attacked. She refused it. She was lucky. Maria's case going public might have inadvertently saved her.
What's terrifying is how this whole industry seems protected. It's not just about the initial deception or the violence itself. There's this network that kicks in afterward.
The impunity network, as some call it. It's incredibly professional. These wealthy organizers, they have teams ready. Lawyers, translators. They often force victims to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, right at the start.
Trying to ensure silence from the outset. But what if someone resists, tries to leave, get their passport back?
That's when they turn the local laws against the victim. It's a deeply cynical tactic.
How does that work?
The abuser's lawyers threaten the woman with arrest. They'll claim she's violating prostitution laws. Or, simply, that she's working in the country illegally without her passport, which of course they confiscated. Both carry jail time.
So they create the crime by taking her passport, then threaten her with it.
Precisely. But the most powerful threat, especially if the abuser is married, is the charge of adultery.
Adultery is a serious crime there, right? Even for the victim of an assault.
Yes. Under UAE law, it can lead to imprisonment. So imagine, you've just been assaulted, traumatized, and now you're being threatened with jail time yourself in a foreign country for adultery. It's an incredibly effective way to coerce silence and compliance.
It completely flips the script. The victim becomes the accused.
It weaponizes the justice system itself. We saw it with Maria, passport confiscated immediately. No way to leave, no easy way to get help from her embassy, totally dependent.
And there was that other case, the Russian model who jumped.
A stark illustration of the desperation and the lack of options. She jumped from a building to escape the abuse, suffered terrible injuries.
And instead of investigating why she jumped,
They prosecuted her, sentenced her to 3 months in jail. The police claim she'd used a weapon before jumping. It makes no sense in the context of someone fleeing for their life.
as she apparently said later, getting justice there is just too hard.
It highlights the perceived futility of fighting back against the system when it's stacked against you.
And Maria's ordeal didn't just expose Dubai's dark side. It pointed fingers towards the clientele, often from Russia's elite circles.
Yes, her case brought more attention to what sources call the secret sex party circles of the Russian elite. These individuals are often the clients, sometimes the organizers. It suggests a wider culture where extreme wealth and power foster this belief in total immunity.
And it's not just happening abroad. This trend is spreading.
Reports suggest it is. Powerful figures are allegedly trying to replicate these kinds of consequence-free environments back in Moscow, creating spaces where they believe they can act with the same impunity.
It fits into a broader pattern described in the sources, doesn't it? Other high-profile incidents involving Russian figures.
Absolutely. Think about the case of Alex Leslie, the seduction coach, Alexander Kirilov, investigated for essentially encouraging rape. He openly told followers they could harass women in Russia and get away with it, unlike in the West.
That speaks volumes about a perceived lack of consequences for certain actions.
It does. And then there are abuses of power that blur the lines between personal behavior and state resources, like the allegations about a top defense official.
Andrei Bilasov, allegedly.
Allegedly using a very expensive military jet, like a $100 million asset, basically as a private taxi for his mistress. Whether it's personal misconduct or misuse of state power, it points to this deep-seated culture among some elites. The rules simply don't apply to them.
So when you piece it all together, Maria Kovalchuk's survival, her testimony, It ripped the mask off Dubai's glamorous image.
It revealed this predatory underground economy, human trafficking, modern slavery, operating right alongside the luxury boutiques and skyscrapers. Critics calling it a gilded cave or a cesspit of sand and concrete. It starts to make sense
The warnings that came out afterwards from lawyers, from influencers, they were stark.
and absolutely necessary. Be incredibly suspicious of offers that sound too good to be true. That promise of $100,000 for a night of fun. You have to understand the immense danger hidden behind that promise. Life-altering, potentially lethal danger.
The core takeaway from digging into all this material is pretty disturbing, isn't it? It suggests that when enough wealth and influence are involved, they can potentially bend or even break the local systems meant to provide justice.
Law enforcement, judicial processes, they can allegedly be manipulated. Evidence can be timed out of existence. Financial pressure can buy silence. It creates this bubble of impunity, shielding perpetrators from any real accountability, local or international.
Which leaves us with a really challenging question, something for you, the listener, to think about.
If a country's legal framework appears to be systematically used not to protect victims, but to silence them, to protect abusers, all in the name of maintaining a national image or brand, what's the appropriate response?
How should the international community, human rights groups, how should we all react when a system seems fundamentally compromised in this way? What's our obligation to demand accountability?
It's a heavy thought. A reminder that paradise, or the image of it, often comes at a terrible human cost.
We hope this deep dive has given you some clarity, some things to consider about the world behind the headlines, about those glaring promises and the potential for hidden, devastating traps.
Until the next deep dive, stay aware, stay critical,